I want to have a little discussion about what beings believe, starting with what we call the straw man, which is the birth certificate and the social security card, which makes up the Federal Reserve funds inside the federal banks, and it is transferred back and forth through the court system as called chattel paper. And this chattel paper is what the courts use to make their portfolios for their business or corpse municipal bonds, because corp is a debt. No, corpse is a void, first of all, but you take it as a job. And they trade in these papers back and forth, which is called chattel property, in order for the corpse, which is a dead body, to gain monetary value. But the value is trapped in these certificates and the birth certificate and a social security card, right? And this is your certificate of, this is my certificate of life. This is my certificate of life, birth. Now that's, I'm honing you in, sis. Let's get on to this. So if this, if the biology if the biology is used and its value is stored, and its value is stored, certification of vital records, the certificate of live birth, and it has a number, it has a number, it has a seal, a state, and a state, it has a seal, it has a, as in the matrix, a number, right? So it has a number. The number is red, and the birth certificate is blue, and it said without this, it said void this water, mark alter erase. So it's signifying that water is what gives life, and life is what gives commercial paper value. So why stay steady throwing you away for value? So I'm gonna get right into this, okay? I want to show you some things that the public don't recognize, which is so fucking obvious. So you enter this contract. You entered the contract at birth, right? You entered the contract at birth, and they said it's solidified. But for me, I'm thinking, how the fuck be solidified? Well, if the government is a corpse and the corpse is a dead body, regardless, it's like a job. They say the wages of your sin is death, right? Right? And isn't the corpse? It's a legal fiction. It's a fictitious, which means it has no sovereignty and it has no sovereignty, right? Because it's a fictitious entity, and fictions can't have sovereignty, and that's what every damn thing on the fucking planet is, right? So let's say, so they entered me into a negotiable contract when I was a baby, which I could not receive full discount, right? Which automatically voids the contract, because a baby cannot enter into a commercial activity at birth with full disclosure, which with disclosure, with voids the, a baby cannot enter into commercial activity at birth with full disclosure. Therefore, it automatically voids the contract, because fraud is on onto it, and the public service who uphold it is called commercial activity on commercial paper, which is commercial sexual activity, which is also known as commercial extortion, or should I just be more frank with it? Because fraud. Because if everyone is benefiting off of this and collecting the interest, but they tell you that come to my office, vote for me, and I'm for your best interest, but then your ass go to jail off of something minor, right? Or something that was major, but it actually wasn't major. It made it major in order to capitalize off it, right? So Follow me. So they bring you into court and tell you did something wrong. But the court only deals in municipal bonds, and municipal bonds are debt notes, which means they have absolutely no fucking value. But they bought you in there through a corpse and told you they had all this value that they never fucking had, right? And then they hold you for ransom in order to pay a bond, right? Keep following me. And then they would not let you go and told you that if you didn't take such and such time, that you will be given such and such heinous more time, right? Now, even though it's played out in a business profession manner, what you're not understanding is whenever someone holds you hostage for a monetary value at your expense while they take home the benefits and you are not, that is called commercial slavery. Is illegal under United States Title Code 8, Chapter 7, which is peonage. Not only if it's fucking sexual, because the root word of peonage is, which means penis, right? So the dick is for monetary value through slavery and traffic, trafficking, which is pro under the 50 laws. One code has about 15 statutes to it that range trafficking to trafficking on down public service breaching the trust on down to the fiduciary happen to breach evidence from the record, right? Now I'm in my own state, Illinois, right? So I had to wrote down Illinois Constitution too because Illinois' model Constitution is sovereign, right? That's why I'm so part of Chicago, because I don't recognize any other state that had such as this, which is the end Illinois. State have I ever seen have. So person is illegal in Illinois. Remind Illinois is, it doesn't have to be the United States in order to pass this right and away from the United States, because the United States exercise that it does not have or authority in the town, which happens to be Illinois. So traffic. So 20 Illinois Code statute 10 trafficking monetary to it related to this, and you'll find commercial activity. Now, I just gave you two statutes. I gave you one, the entire 50 states, which no one in the 50 states can deny. Right there and there. They can't say Moorish American law, because this is, and I advise you not to argue with them, but just make them understand when they're with school. And make sure you got to do it in a way they can't get out of it, right? You got to make sure everything sticks, because for public ignorance of the law is no oath is to the and not interest or monetary or corpse, nor defamation of character, which I call DOC, through libel, which we go back to court terms, which is called, which just really mean in legal hearsay. It's your word again. And since you actually have no proof again besides hearsay, and I'm the only one who could offer the proof because I'm living this damn experience and you not, you can't even back in the courtroom. Which means the only fact to be brought in the courtroom is from me and my mouth, my assertion of who I am, rather than your assumption of what you should be. Department of Corrections, will I just say, definition of character disguised as correction. So let's go back into this United States Supreme decision. We got Creedon versus Neal, right? Huh? Now, any corporation is made to decide to trade people for value, the reap crop is offered them. Before slavery started, when they put ships, they made, which was called capitis demitio maximum minimum and media. What one of them does is reduce your rights. You don't even have family rights. What the other one does is it gives you, but it gives you status and You don't have family rights. You don't. It gives you family rights. It gives you status in society, but it doesn't give you sovereignty, and it does not give you. So capitis diminutio maxima. It takes away all your rights. You have none because as a legal fiction in all capital letters, you are rights. Then you have because under capitis diminutio maxima, all capital you have, and that's what all corporations is. Now under minima, you have basic rights to society, but you have rights of sovereignty and you have rights to family, right? And then you got media. One of them gives you right to your family, but it doesn't give you right all the other good things. You got to check out the document for yourself. Pull it up. It's called Capitis Diminutio Maxima and Media. You understand? So what am I saying? What I'm saying is we have absolute fucking proof that the government had conspired against right under Title United States Code 241 because they created this. We didn't create this, right? And they have declaration of rights, Title 1842, which declaration rights are not because they made this, right? And that meant was you in them round tables when they made this shit? Hell no. So how could you be liable for somebody's contract? If you wasn't in the United States secret society meetings with the press, they first fucking institution, right? Per se, fraudulently on someone else's land, how can you possibly be held bound by signatures of 25 men that was in society secrecy? You can't. Don't you get it? Because a baby cannot enter into commercial activity at birth with full disclosure because the baby don't even have the recognition to know at 1 day old or 2 seconds out the pussy, which voids the contract. Fraud is placed on the public servants because they's the ones who carrying out the activity, right? Now continue to stay with me because this is what's called child to paper commercial labor activity, right? And that's recruiting Neil. Every man in the pit of all laws except those prescribed by nature. Now, nature cannot prescribe whatsoever. Men do. Humans do. Because you never see jump out a cup and fucking write on a piece of paper. But you could throw water on it and you could leave a mark. But you don't see it right up. Which is called fictitious fictions. Only corpses do, which are dead bodies. It cannot have a sovereignty. It cannot say it's sovereignty. How could you have a sovereignty and you a fiction? This is a fiction. This is flesh and bone. Life in the flesh. This has no life at all. It was just a utensil in order to create one thing. Commercial paper through commercial paper through commercial activity to produce commercial sexual activity through the trading of these papers back and forth, which is called the birth certificate and social security card, for any corporation to make money, right? So we understand that part, right? Now you say, how is that possible? I say comprehend the commercial slavery, right? In order to comprehend commercial slavery, you got to know what it is, right? And if you don't know what it is, you can't never identify with it, right? So, trafficking in persons, conflict of interest, security fraud, involuntary servitude, breach of the trust. How do you recognize what these things are? So, I started a little bit of just something simple everyone can understand. My body, time, and signature create all under contract law. Wealth is myself. Because without this paper being signed by my mommy, my daddy, and also myself, because my footstep was tapped on it when I was just a child, and the federal government told that they will hold my ancestors' land in value for my self-worth. Now, when I get older and I look at my self-worth, they trying to push me into a capital diminution maximum in order to take away my self-worth. But clearly, my name is not in all capital fucking letters. And my certificate does not say a certificate of corpse. It's a certificate of live birth. Now, this also says certification of vital records, which means someone without this nut stain of value, without this watermark, the main, it altered or erased. This document cannot have any value, right? So I am the holder in due course of this certification, which has my name. So I am the holder in due course of the principle. The principle itself, because it creates which all value on any that anyone puts in the portfolio and take to a order to take out. So I'm the whole tip of my signature is which creates all value 10 times its worth. So both itself being exchanged for commercial value. I know my self inheritance and I know my value. No consent voids the sure is what they create. They created surety. Surety, and surety is what this paper is called. This chattel paper will try to cash in portfolios in order to put value to their corpse. It's called a surety. Someone to be sure that they gain something of value if you say you're guilty. And then they're going to use the surety, which this surety agreement produced by them for my surety through the treaties laws of holding my ancestral lands in value for my wealth. Security officer. So with consent void surety of the shit my birth signature which was commercial slavery through trafficking me in person from corporation to corporation in order for the corporation to say they have value and then to do business with order the corporation to keep the value on so they corp keep life in it instead of corpse and dead as fuck. So it creates a conflict of interest. How does it create a conflict of interest? Because, I'm explaining to you in court terms, if the judge, the public defender, the state's attorney, and the bailiff work for the same corporation, and they all get their money from the same corporation, all bringing you into one room, all benefiting financially off you, you have no win in the situation. How don't you win in the situation? First of all, here's how you can tell that the conviction rate 99%, which means that most people in there walk out and when I got away or I got away because I'm right. The fact that more than the precinct at a the fact that a precinct can have not a 50% conviction rate, but a 60, 70, 80, and 90% conviction rate shows you have no fuck. It's all about a contract game and what they told you it was about, right? So let's get back to that. I said my no consent voice the surety agreements they it void officers who trust for value and for obligation trying to get you to put your signature on the piece of paper gain the value of that signature, which is my bit and right because I know myself value. Now, one, how can be secured in the court of law? They try to force one thing so they can get away without a damn scheme. What's the law? All contracts must be and no can be avoided if well can be. You know why? This shit was created without my consent. One day he's old with my damn card. I can't possibly know what the fuck. I don't even speak words yet, especially the words that you created. right? To bind contracts. So that voids the contract at birth. It brought back on the shit. It have to deal with the people purple. It's not my creators. It's not they fuck conspiracy. That's why conspiracy against rights under 18 241 and Declaration of Rights, the color of life, which is Title 18, Code 242, which is United States Code, Chapter 77, with 19 statutes for trafficking me, using my for monetary value, do slavery, even though you called it to be whatever bullshit. That's slavery. That's called okay, because whole body for bond, and they have been proven guilty yet, and they for fucking years until you prove a benefit called kid, because them for which is value in order for one corporation to make money, right? That's peonage because they hold your dick in bondage. That's why it's called DOC on your shirt, regardless if it's spelled DOC doc, if it's spelled DEC. Somebody happens to be penitentiary on the deck, and the guards also on the deck. This tier, like everyone, this tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, blah 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 blah, and they have placed deck, regardless spelled DECK, DK, DOC, DE, it's dick. If someone rubbed against your girls, your little baby, you a father. I'm a father. If somebody walked up to my little girl and put their hands on her shoulder, on her lap, and rubbed her and said, "You my little pussy, you little posse." Now, regardless of the father to expect that he said posse, it is a father instinct to instinctually know what the fuck he actually just said. You said pussy. And that's the same thing with the courts. The courts cannot act fucking ignorant to linguistics because psychological abuse is as damaging as physical abuse. And just because you don't abuse someone physically does not mean you not committing a crime, especially if you carrying it out psychologically and they don't even know. But once you can prove the psychological torture that they cause to you, then someone has to be liable for monetary damages, penitentiary. Someone has to be liable for damages that corporation has caused through its public servant. Now, what is a public servant always scared of? They never scared of you arguing the laws because you arguing their laws. They always scared of you, which is why you shouldn't argue their laws. You should just let them argue that shit themselves. You don't argue. It's prima facie evidence. This shit is prima facie evidence. It's circumstantial evidence which cannot be denied because it's prima facie written in documentation by their hand. So you can take their very documents they write against you and use it to you because they produce the documents of your which I'm telling you, I'm showing you the public servant has no rights in law. Law don't even protect the public servant. It protects the people. Now, let's go over here. We get to the beginning of this. Now, consent is voluntary. Matter of choice, which means I exercise my free choice, which my living will and my free will to not contract. You cannot force me into it, regardless if you call it what the fuck you call it. Whenever you trans somebody for a monetary value, your ass engaged in enslavement because your ass got a suit on. Now, I say consent is a matter of free choice, of free will, be given. It must be given willingly. It cannot be taken. Rights. Contract means that have right of contract of equal of my worth doing time. If they $100 off me every motherfucking day, guess who that value created that value? That's my value. They just wanted me fucking peanut seat behind sales and say I'm guilty or something, feel bad about them without them telling me, without them explaining contract law to me to get it. So the value was yours because they locked you up and you did the time. Now, how the fuck did you not get a penny of that, but they got all the penny of it? So they cannot claim that they are for your best interest because they own the difference, which is a monetary value, which is illegal to do. They cannot ever say I'm for your best interest because the fact that them all working for the same corporation, which means they all for their own self-interest. Yours. Now, rights to contract, not right, is inviolable and unlimited, which means because your ass got a police badge on or a robe on, don't give your ass no superpowers. Bitch, you laws that bound you by the laws under the amendment that reduce you to a person. And a person meaning a chattel fucking slave. It's the same word that you think is the same as people. Now, people are with rights by their creators. Person is in corporate privileges by its fictitious corporation because a corporation is a person. I am a peep L. I am walking around in flesh. This corporation cannot walk around in flesh. This is a person. It cannot walk around in flesh. But me, on the other hand, I'm a people. I can walk around in flesh. You could tell I'm a living man. The person right here, it has no life in it. And you know this just by the fact when you go on for this organization, they say you have to put the name in the capital letter. What is your person? So I'm just gonna go through these, right? Because I'm all down. So number 2. So corporation out of this for the damage that they doing and they intend to you. Why? It's like a crackhead on the street. A crackhead on the street ain't gonna still on the street. Gonna crack on the fact that called customer that the crackhead think that it's $10. He gonna that drug dealer that the bag is $10. That's the same with the fucking system. The judge is gonna say wrong, you did this and get you all guilty and make you feel all fucked up until you just say fuck and I'm just let me go. Family free and quick. What are you gonna do it as long as I get out of here? What happened? You changed your monetary value and gave it all to them, and they offered your ass in order to do so. So I said my right to contract and not to contract is inviolable and unlimited. Representatives of government are not. This number 3. Elected by. Representatives of government are elected by and restrained by the people. Why? Because they are the legal fiction person. The people, on the other hand, which they made rights and treaty with our ancestors in order to hold up our rights for our land, our value. Now, they're public servant. I don't give a judge. It's still a public servant. And they have not been a judge on this goddamn land for a long very fucking time. So I remember my last time the court judge gonna tell me to don't call me by my name, Maria Cecil. What you want me to call you? She said, call me Judge of Your Honor. I looked at her, I said, I'm not gonna